Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screams from the Basement podcast.
This is the scariest horror podcast on this side of the Black Lagoon. Screams from the Basement discusses the best double features the genre has to offer.
We also interview the industry's finest that make our screams become nightmares. I am one of your creepy co-hosts. I am Casey.
And I'm Sam the Damned, and let's get screaming.
Let's get screaming, Sam, as we are talking about Final Destination.
Woot woot, party episode.
Party episode here on Screams from the Basement. Hey, it's a party episode on the Prescribed Films podcast network this entire month.
True that, true that, true that. Um, we have a crossover event. I'm trying to find the script that we're supposed to read per Mike Saunders of Attack of the Killer podcast.
Yeah, we don't need one of our two Prescribed Films dads yelling at us, Sam.
Yeah. I was trying to cover for it. Mike, we love you. I'm so sorry.
I'll let you as you're finding that to make sure we plug each show and each date correctly on what show they're doing. But basically, the entire Prescribed Films podcast network, not the entire, but most of us are covering some form of a Final Destination movie this month. And we're going all the way from the first one all the way till Final Destination Bloodlines. We here at Screens from the Basement, we're doing number 1 and number 5.
Yeah. I did find the script. On May 16th, the new Final Destination movie hit theaters.
It did.
And in celebration of the return of the franchise, like Casey said, we're teaming up with other shows on the network. We're covering all of the entire series throughout May. If you listen to Brett and Tony with Ash and Abe, they just discussed Final Destination 2 last week. Banger of an episode. It was a lot of fun. You should definitely check it out. Next is us, right here, right now, covering parts 1 and 5. Woot woot. And then on the 30th, a few weeks from now, Attack the Killer podcast is going to cover parts 3 and 4. Please be kind to 3. I hope 4 burns in hell. And then finally on June 1st, The Wrong Podcast Died is covering the new film Bloodlines with special guests, Attack of the Killer podcast. Don't miss this first ever epic Prescribed Films Podcast Network event as we cover the Final Destination films throughout the rest of May. Check them all out at the PFPN.com.
Yeah, I am so pumped. This has
been fun.
Full disclosure, this was not the first episode. We weren't even going to cover Final Destination for some reason on the podcast. We are crazy people. We were going to do a completely different, off-topic, has nothing to do with anything episode. Don't worry, that one's coming in June. But we are covering Final Destination, and it feels like, I don't know, like we should have done this.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike, for kicking us in the butt to be like, hey, you guys want to do a Final Destination movie? And spoiler alert, we did up until Bloodlines, my 2 favorite Final Destination movies. Number 1 from 2000 and Final Destination 5 from 2011.
Yeah. And it's been really fun because Casey, you and I have both binged this entire series over the course of the last few weeks. I know a lot of the other people in the PFPN doing this crossover have been doing the same. And a lot of our friend group just in general has been. And it's been fun to rewatch these movies, not just like by ourselves, but with like a group of people that we've been able to talk about the ins and outs, our preferences, what's our favorite. And so if you've been on our Discord listening to me bitch incessantly about the 4th one, thanks for being there.
Hey, it's either we're praising most of the Final Destination movies or we're yelling about Bring Her Back. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
So join us on Discord. Link down below. But Sam, yeah, both of us, we watched the entire Final Destination series. I did it. I think we both did it in the week leading up to Bloodlines.
Yeah.
We're watching that in the theater Saturday night of opening weekend.
Yeah. It was really fun. At first I was just gonna make sure I watched 1 and 5, and then if I got to the rest, I was gonna get to the rest. But then I was like, no, like I love this franchise. I'm doing all of them. but we took notes for 1 and 5, and we're gonna deep dive these bitches.
Yeah, 1 and 5 will get the deep dive. We'll talk about 2 through 4 in Doobie Doing. But Sam, are you ready to jump into the first Final Destination movie?
Yeah, I am. I am.
All right, well, Final Destination, 25 years ago this movie came out. 25th anniversary of the movie. This is going to be a fun one because I feel like out of all of them, this is the one that has captured the cultural zeitgeist the most, besides a sequence in number 2. I think there's a sequence in number 2 that is maybe the most famous thing in the series.
Yeah, definitely more prolific than anything else.
The log truck is probably the most famous thing in the series, but I think movie-wise, it's definitely this first movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you remember the first time you watched Final Destination or caught a glimpse of what this movie is?
Yeah, so my this is one of those YouTube franchises for me where I grew up, and like if you were a kid of a certain age in the early days of YouTube, one of the things that you'd always type into the search bar is Final Destination deaths, and you just had your pick of the mill. Like everything was on there. Before YouTube got weirdly like sensory and wouldn't allow blood and stuff. And so I watched a bunch of these movies in piecemeal. I'd seen bits and pieces all over. And then it was like one evening. It was after graduation. Like I was in my band days, and I was house sitting for my grandparents, and I was watching cable, and I just saw that like TNT or FX or something had.
This was an FX
Yeah,
series, like
FX.
all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So FX had, I think it was just the first three, but they were all going to be coming up in a row. And so I was like, Psh, I'm just going to watch these tonight. Not the franchise to watch when you're by yourself in an old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Um, I mainlined the first three of them, and I loved them, but I didn't want to get up from that couch afterwards. I was afraid to move. I was like, oh my God, anything in this house could set it off and just like obliterate my brains. Um, and shortly after that, I sought out 4 and 5. And on first watches, those didn't make as much of an impression on me. We'll talk about how that's changed with 5. But I've revisited the first three of these so much in the past decade. So yeah, that's kind of my history with the first one specifically, but also just the franchise as a whole. How about you, Casey?
Yeah, I mean mine was pretty similar. Watching so the first one I knew about, and I obviously knew of the plane sequence. I probably like saw glimpses of it on TV like when I was a kid. And full disclosure, I hate airplanes to this day. It is probably in part to watching that opening sequence at some point on television. But watching the series as a whole and actually remembering all of the movies, I know I watched the first 4 when they were on like FX because they played on there all of the time.
Yeah.
I feel like especially 4, first like 3 and 4 for some reason were always on TV. And maybe it's just that I missed, 1 and 2 in the marathon or something like that. But that is definitely how I watched these movies for the first time, was on TV.
Yeah.
I know I did eventually once, they were on streaming, probably on Netflix in early days of Netflix. Of course, did movie nights with friends watching those first 4 movies.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the 5th one until just maybe, I don't know, within the last 7-8 years. So relatively recently.
That's fair.
It was like the one that always eluded me. I did not watch it in the theater, so yeah, it was just the one that I always missed, and I think maybe 4 left a bad taste in my mouth of like, okay, this is the 3D one. I don't want to watch the other 3D one.
Yeah, they kind of get lumped together, and in my mind, they were very much lumped together. But those movies could not be more different. Aside, like the 3D aspect is prominent in both,
But yeah, after a while, I had heard of the ending of 5, and I was like, oh, I want to check that out because I want to see how it all ties the series together.
Yeah, I had heard about the ending of 5 before I ever watched it, which I think is what prompted me to watch it. mostly because, and we'll get into it, I'm a Devon Sawa fan, and I was like, oh, he's in it, and he's not really, but
Yeah. I mean, he is. He's in
he
it.
is. But yeah, yeah. So, yeah, Final Destination.
Final Destination. Let's jump into this first movie. Directed by James Wong, written by Jeffrey Riddick, Glenn Morgan, and James Wong, based on an original concept and story by Jeffrey Riddick. Alex, a high school senior, played by Devon Sawa, has a premonition of his class's flight to Paris as it is about to crash. When it does, Alex and his classmates come face to face with death in insane ways, including house fires, showers, city buses, and choo-choo trains. Final Destination. Let's talk about the opening of this movie.
Yeah.
So this sets that precedent for the rest of the movie. We get introduced to Alex Devon Sawa and his entire class.
And his parents.
And his
who are
parents.
Weird. They don't act like human beings.
They might not be. I don't know.
Yeah. Can we talk about the X-Files of it all?
Yeah. That was one of my trivia notes. But yeah, we have to talk about where the concept, I suppose, came from.
Like, to me, the opening of this movie is so X-Files. Like, from the credits kind of being eerie, like, you know, putting things together from Alex's room that are kind of... Like, the credit sequences in these movies are always amazing because they're either, like, premonitioning... I'm foreshadowing. Oh my god. Words are not coming to me today. They're either foreshadowing the inevitable deaths that are going to happen in the movie, or they're just like kind of a greatest hits of what's come before. And either way, the opening credits to any Final Destination movie are great. And this one is so eerie and atmospheric, and it sets the mood right away. And then you get his parents who are talking about his trip, and in like kind of ways that feel very alien, and the whole thing just feels a little off in a way that a lot of the X-Files mysteries were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could see that when Alex has his premonition and all of him and his classmates get off the plane.
Yeah.
You see where the X-Files episode starts right after that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yes. Yeah.
Like, this would be the inciting incident of that episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the opening credits is like a montage in his room, and I'm like, this is like the most 2000s opening. I love these openings. Like,
yeah,
I wish more movies would do that nowadays instead of just giving us like instead of like just starting the movie and showing like people's names coming up randomly. It seems like like it feels like there's a purpose to this of setting everything up and creating, like you said, that eerie atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. This one's moody. Like I take issue with people who are like, this is the serious one, because I don't think this movie's that serious. We'll get into some of the death sequences, but like there is one death sequence that is genuinely very upsetting, and the rest of them are all kind of funny.
Yeah.
You know, like the dark humor was there from the beginning, and like this one definitely has more of an angsty, moody teen vibe to it than a lot of the other ones do, but it's also not the serious one.
Tonality, it's my favorite of the series, and I don't think really any of them get back to this too much. To this tone. I think they all go, especially when you get to like 3 and 4, are just straight up comedies.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of them's a good comedy, and one of them's not.
And one of them's just not. Yeah. Yeah, but I just love the tone where it is like this. It definitely has the Scream vibe.
Yeah, it's got Scream's fingerprints all over it.
All over it, from the poster to the casting. I mean, you get Devon Sawa, you get Sean William Scott, you get Ali Lauder.
From Dawson's Creek.
What's that?
Kerr Smith from Dawson's Creek. Like, this was kind of the height of his whole thing, too. And his performance definitely feels like a choice to break away from that Dawson's Creek character that he was known for. Never watched an episode of Dawson's Creek, but I knew that Kerr Smith was the gay one.
I did watch Dawson's Creek, but I don't remember him in it. Granted, it's been 25 years since I've watched any of Dawson's Creek. But
that's fair. That's fair.
I think the biggest casting choice in this movie for me that feels out of left field but totally works is Sean William Scott.
Yeah, because he's kind of playing the dork in this.
He's the dork. Know? He is 100% the dork.
He's like riding his bike and eating ice cream cones, and like he's almost like the Dewey character.
Yeah, he was written as an overweight character, as like that archetype.
Yeah.
And then they cast Sean William Scott, obviously just wasn't overweight, but they still played him as the dork of the class.
Yeah.
And this is coming right off of American Pie for him, but shot before American Pie ever came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think it was some executive was pushing for him because they had seen a early cut of American Pie and was like, you guys got to get this guy in it.
Yeah.
And he's not playing Stifler at all. He's playing like class dork, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because he's really good at it.
He is.
He definitely got typecast after this as a Stifler.
As Stifler, yeah.
Yeah, but he's good at both.
And from what I have heard, he is more like this character than he is Stifler IRL.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I totally get that vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, the also this sets up like our main character knowing something's going to happen, not just when the premonition happens, but like certain signs of death and ominous warnings. In his room, his mom accidentally rips off the baggage claim tag from his last trip, which apparently is bad luck. John Denver is playing on the radio constantly,
which is kind of poor taste, but I love it.
And knows the tone it's going for.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I know we said tonally this was like probably top tier in the franchise. I don't think this might be recency bias, but like Bloodlines might be my favorite tonally. But it's also going for a very different tone than this. But what I like about both of them is they like really embrace the dark sense of humor.
Yeah. I think that one's probably the closest in tone to this one, though.
Probably.
2 might be. You could argue 2.
Oh, I don't think 2 is tonally like this one at all.
I just don't think 2, character-wise, is as well written as this one.
Yeah. I just don't think that... This isn't about 2.
This is not about 2. It's about the first one.
Do you want to know what my favorite ominous sign, though, in this whole opening is? Is when it just zooms in on the word terminal on the flight board. As if that would be an out-of-place thing you would see at an airport.
At an airport, yeah.
It cracks me up every time. Like, the slow zoom in on terminal, and then cutting to Devon Sawa just, like, kind of sweating while he looks at it. Fantastic. Good stuff.
Yeah, so we get to the premonition on the plane. It's the shortest one of the series. Obviously, they learned from this of like, all right, this is what people are going to remember. We need to build on this with the other ones. I mean, they certainly do in the second one. That's for sure. They're like, okay, we got to give people what they want. And they sure did in that one. Probably still my favorite. Easily my favorite. Yeah.
We'll get into that too.
Okay. We'll talk about it later. But Alex just has this premonition. It's really short that the plane is going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
And it does.
Yeah. You don't really get individual deaths in this one. It literally just is like the plane catches on fire and people just start burning up row by row.
Yeah. Or go flying out of the airplane.
Yeah, which is very different than where we go in the next installments. Like, a lot of... I guess, like, 3 is probably the most similar to this inciting incident, where, like, it's a roller coaster, so it's not like there's so much you can do. They do have a little bit of the individual... But they are getting killed off one by one in that. That's true. I feel like as far as, like, short, more condensed ones, 3 is probably the closest. I love when they get on the plane, how they see the baby. and then the physically handicapped person. And I believe it's Devon Sawa that says, like, it'd have to be a fucked up god to take down this plane. Really fucked up.
Yeah.
That is a great line, especially on a repeat watch. Do you think that there are people that saw this in the theater that watched this plane crash and thought, whoa, they just killed all of our main characters?
No, because so quickly it cuts to him having
That's
the
true.
premonition. I think it's
Yeah.
so fast.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it is a pretty quick turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, it literally turns around to him back on the plane.
Yeah.
Getting asked to switch seats, and he starts throwing a
Throwing
huge
fit.
huge fit, like the plane's gonna blow up. His best friend, Clear, who is like the shy girl in the class, Stifler gets mixed up in it. Sean William Scott. One of the teachers has to go off with them, and then the bully and his girlfriend get kicked off the plane as well.
And his best friend, but not his best friend's twin brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not identical twin brother, but just twin brother.
Yeah, twin brother. Yeah.
Yep. And then this sequence right here, where they're all sitting in the airport, terminal, kind of hashing out like what is happening, what's going on, how are we going to get the rest of this class to Paris? And then you just see Sean William Scott in the foreground, and you see in the background that plane explode with no sound.
Yep.
And it takes about 5 seconds, and then the windows shatter, and you hear it.
Yep.
Oh
and
my
God. The
God.
whole thing is just played out in the background. Like, if you weren't looking for that plane, you almost wouldn't even notice it until it went. Like, it is so well done because it's coming, and the way they present it is still shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think they would like, oh, all right, we're going to cut to the plane now and get like people's perspectives of the plane exploding and seeing that sequence from that point of view again. No, we get it from the ground. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
It is one of the scariest.
It's way more.
It is one of the scariest scenes ever for me.
Yeah. It's
Just
terrifying.
that image of the plane blowing up with no sound. No, terrifying. I hate it.
Yep.
I hate it so much.
Because it just feels so insignificant. It's just a background detail. It's just at least 100 people probably died, right? Like,
yeah, it's like 200. It's like 280 people.
Yeah. Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And it's a blip in the background. It's terrifying. It's legitimately, it's the best they could have done with that. Like less is more sometimes, and they really ran with that.
Yeah. It's a 5-star opening to this movie. It's incredible.
Yep.
We got to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit before we keep jumping in. I want to talk about some of the, behind the scenes people who worked on this. So, like director James Wong worked on the X-Files, how this all kind of came together. Also, Glenn Morgan is one of the producers and co-writers of this. We've talked about Glenn Morgan on this show.
Yeah.
For sure. Because he did Black Christmas, 2006. He also did Willard with Crispin Glover. He was also the best friend character in one of our personal favorites from the 80s, Trick or Treat.
Mm-hmm.
So no stranger to the horror genre. I had forgot how integral he is to the Final Destination series until this rewatch.
I would argue that my personal flavor of Final Destination is when Morgan and Wong are directly involved with it. In the first 4, at least. Like, in these first 4, I'm definitely a Wong Morgan guy rather than a David R. Ellis guy.
Yeah.
I think they just have a much better handle on the tone of what these movies should be.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Riddick is the gentleman who came up with the entire concept of this series. Yeah. I think he's only credited as a screenwriter in this first movie, though.
I believe so, yeah.
I know he did write part of 2. He's not credited for it, because he did come up with that opening sequence.
Right. Yeah, he he definitely doesn't have as much of a hand in it nowadays, but I mean, I guess neither do um
Yeah, James Wong or
yeah,
Glenn
James
Morgan.
Wan
Yeah.
or Glenn Morgan don't. I wanted to say Glenn or James, and I was like, that's not right.
But yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think this creative team
yeah,
is my favorite, at least of the first five.
it's probably my favorite cast too. Like I'd say that this cast in
Yeah.
general, is just it's the strongest one. I don't necessarily know if it's the strongest characters in the whole thing because they are all kind of playing archetypes. Um, but I
Archetypes are
like
better
this
than
cast.
non-characters, though.
Yes, that is true. That is true. And they're
And we get
playing
a
their
whole lot
archetypes
of
with a lot of
nothing
verve.
burgers in, especially 2 and 4.
Yeah, 2 and 4 are rough character wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they at least all have defining characteristics, and you know exactly who they are in relationship to each other. And
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing you can set up in this movie.
Yeah.
Also, all the character, like pretty much all the character names are named after some famous horror director or
Yeah.
producer. Uh,
The teacher's literally Val Luton.
yeah, that's literally her name, Val
Yeah.
Luton. Alex is Alex
Yeah.
Browning, Todd Browning. Um,
Billy Hitchcock.
Billy Hitchcock, Agent Shrek, Max Shrek,
Yeah. Yeah, what who's the partner? Shrek and
and Morneau.
yeah, Murnau. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you just have random ass Clear Rivers.
Yeah. What? That's what a weird name.
Yeah,
Not
it's
a
such a
weird
weird
name,
name.
but a unique name.
Yeah,
Clear.
I like it. I think it's a cool name. I think she's like I don't
Clear is
think this
also the best
series
character
needs
in this movie.
yes, 100%. I love when we just see her at her house and she's just casually welding sculpture in her driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Well, and it
Um
tells so much about her character after the plane crash that Alex's parents are the ones driving her home after this, like,
yeah.
literally horrific accident.
Yep, she's the only one who doesn't have someone to come pick her up at the airport. Like it's yeah. She's
Also,
a
Alex's parents
fantastic
don't even bring
character.
her up to the door. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that is crazy. I also like not that this is going to be become a two podcast, but that's why I don't like two as much is because it takes a great character like Clear and it kind of wastes her, whereas this movie sets her up as a really interesting, like nuanced character, and she's not allowed any of that in the sequel,
Yeah.
and they just kind of
Well, and here
spoilers for
too,
two, they
like,
kill her.
she has no reason to get off this plane
Yeah, she
except that
just
she
believes
believes
Alex.
Alex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I will say, when you get into the back half and all of a sudden she's calling him baby, because like they reshot the ending,
I want to say there's
and
definitely stuff either reshot or scenes cut out where we've
yeah,
missed something.
well, it's both because they reshot the ending because apparently Alex was supposed to die and sacrifice himself to save her, and she was pregnant with his baby, and there was a romance subplot. They took out it did horrible with test
Yeah.
audiences though, obviously. So they took out the romance, they took out the baby, and they let Alex live. Um, but it is funny because you still see all of a sudden she's calling him baby. There's clearly a romantic implication between the two, even if they don't say it. Like in that final scene, that's obviously a reshoot. They're acting like they're friends, but like she was literally just, like kissing him and saying like baby wake up and shit, and like it's just so funny how it just happens out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, we must have missed something off
Yeah.
screen.
I mean, you can gather that there's something romantic,
Yeah.
but yeah, we definitely needed either they should have dubbed over Allie Lauder and had her say Alex,
Yes.
like because it's always like at night or in the dark or
Right.
raining. Like we could there's ways they probably could have cut around her saying baby out of
Easily.
nowhere.
Easily.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. It's one of those things that like, yes, it's a flaw, but for me it just kind of adds to the charm of this movie and the like lore behind it. I love it. I don't know. It's such a weird little detail. Um And it's rare for me to pick out things like that was a reshoot. Like, I'm just not that person. Like, I don't ever think of
This
movies
one's
that
pretty
way.
obvious,
But
though.
this one is like so in your face about it. I'm like, oh my God.
It's just out of nowhere she starts calling him baby. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Todd's death. So Todd gets like the complete set again, setting up things that are paid off in other movies and used in
Mhm.
all the other movies in the series. Is like setting up all the different ways he could die in his bathroom,
Yeah.
or the different like the different steps death will take to get to him.
Yeah. Todd's to me is the only death in maybe this entire series. Well, until we get to five, and we'll get into that. Todd's death is the only one that, like, to me is not like a cheer or a whoa
It's not a
or a.
funny. It's not a
It's
funny death at all.
yeah. It's not funny. It's harrowing. It's really haunting. Um, One of the weirdest things that ever happened to me was one night I had a dream that a friend of mine who was the lead singer in a band that was currently like on tour um had the Todd death in Final Destination. Like, it was the scene from Final Destination, but it was like my friend that I knew. And I like woke up from the dream and I'm like, probably wasn't anything, right? I logged on to Facebook later that day and he had posted a picture from the tour van behind a log truck and said, I feel like I'm in a Final Destination movie in the caption. And I about shit my pants. I could, like, I was just like, I was refreshing his Facebook page for the rest of the day, just like, oh my God.
That is wild.
Right?
Did you call him? Be like, stay out of the bathroom.
No, I didn't want to freak him out.
Don't go on any roller coasters today.
I thought about it for a minute and I'm like, no, if I got a call from a friend who was like, I dreamed you died in a Final Destination way, and then you posted about, like, I would be like, fuck you, why did you tell me that? Like, I'm gonna be looking for an anvil falling out of the sky the rest of my day. Like, yeah.
But yeah, Todd's death is it's not funny. It is maybe the most harrowing death in the entire
Yeah.
series. Because it is setting up like, oh no, something is going to happen. He ends up getting like piano wire wrapped around his neck and hangs
Yeah.
himself in the shower.
Yeah. And he can't get up. He's like struggling, like his eyes, the blood vessels in his eyes start to burst. Like, it is genuinely the only thing I don't like about that scene is the water reversing at the end, because I'm like, why would death need to cover its tracks? That's so dumb.
Yeah, this one does the death as an entity thing, which feels like a
Yeah.
studio note.
Oh,
We're
definitely
like, we're
have to
gonna
have
have a
been.
black shadow come
Yeah.
by.
And it doesn't need to be there. And they
Doesn't need to
don't
be
do
there.
it for the rest
It's
of the movies, and
say
it's
it's
fine.
yeah, it's dropped after this movie. Not necessary at all.
Yep.
But all the
Um,
friends don't believe that this is connected to
the
Alex's
plane.
premonition. The FBI agents also think Alex might be some way involved because he ends up outside of Todd's house that same night.
Yep.
So I do like that setup of like, oh, Alex might be involved with some of these, or people might believe he's involved somehow with these.
Yeah.
It's good for a first movie for sure.
It is. And it's a little bit like the setup of Child's Play, where it's like, is it Andy? Does he have a hand in this? Um, but I'm glad that they don't lean into that in the same way that Child's Play didn't lean into that. Like, it's enough to make it so, like, you understand why other characters think it might be him, but the movie's not trying to fool you into
Yeah.
thinking it's Alex, you know? Um, this is where him and Clear go to the morgue to check out Alex's body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get the Tony Todd scene, the
Yep.
first time of him playing Bloodworth. And I mean, it's funny because, like, yes, Tony Todd is Candyman, but I think the Tony Todd that I like for the longest time, I feel like the Tony Todd that I thought of was from Final Destination. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
here's the thing, especially after watching Bloodlines, which of course is his final performance,
Yeah.
leaves in such a perfect way.
It really does. Yeah.
And we can kind of talk about that in Do Be Doing at the end, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thinking about Tony Todd as an actor and what roles he had, it's crazy to me that we don't talk more about him being like even more up there with like the kings of horror.
Oh yeah,
Like I
for
feel
sure.
like we talk about Tony Todd a lot just in general as a public conscience, but I think we need to put him at like maybe the top. Like he's known for the Final Destination movies and he's in all of them but 4.
Yep. Another
He
reason it's the
is
worst.
What's that?
Another reason it's the worst.
It's terrible. He's in
Yep.
the Hatchet movies, the first 2.
Yeah. He's
obviously Candyman
mm-hmm. He's in
in all of them.
Hellfest. He's like the carnival barker at Hellfest, and that is such a fun, like he is clearly having a good time in that role.
His role in Holliston, he's hilarious.
Oh my god, yes.
He is so funny in that show.
He plays himself, but like totally a dick version of himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Tony Todd. He has such an iconic voice. And yeah, the character of Bloodworth is one that they pay off in Bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the mystery of him still works in all these movies.
Oh, yeah. And he's clearly having so much fun. Like, he's tormenting these kids with this information, essentially. Like, he is reveling in this.
Yeah.
He's all grinning and chuckling and like, oh, death is coming for you.
It's coming for you, yeah.
You know, like, and he's like almost taunting them. And I don't think anything
he explains
they do...
the rules for the entire franchise too. Of like, okay,
Yeah.
you might have evaded death, but you're still on death's list, and it's coming for you.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just it's pretty fantastic. Like this being the first view of him as Bloodworth, it's a perfect scene. What is
He
it?
has a great.
You don't.
Yeah, I literally wrote that down.
Fuck with Mac Daddy.
Yeah. You don't even want to fuck with that, Mac Daddy.
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible line.
Great line. And he's like pulling something out of a body as he says it. Like, oh man. Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah, Tony Todd fucking rules.
Yeah. And they use him the perfect amount throughout these entire movies. You could have
and
easily
nothing
seen
that they like reveal in Bloodlines diminishes any of.
Absolutely
I was worried, honestly, going into Bloodlines. But I thought what they did with him was like both tasteful and just perfect.
and still kept his mystery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, he's in. So I think 5 is 5 the only one where he's in multiple scenes.
Yeah, 5's the only one where he's in multiple
And I think it's only
scenes.
2 scenes, right?
It might be 3, but I can only remember 2. I think I only wrote 2.
I think there's only 2.
Maybe there's only 2. We'll talk about a second scene in 5 because to me it's the funniest scene in that whole movie. It's so good.
But yeah, the series knows how to use him. 3 could have used more of him somehow, some way.
Yeah,
4 could have used him, period.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's the
3,
carnival, or he's the voice of the roller coaster in 3.
the devil
The
outside
devil.
of the roller coaster, yeah.
And then he's also the subway announcer at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not physically in it at all,
He's
which
not
is
physically
strange,
in
but
it. Yeah. It is a little strange, but at least we get something.
yeah. We get our next death, which again is another iconic death in the series, where you get Terry, right?
Yeah, Terry,
Who's the girlfriend of
Carter.
Of Carter.
Smith.
And she gets hit by a bus.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. It's fantastic. Like, and it's right after she's like, "You can drop dead," and then just
steps on the road.
Yep.
Incredible. That's the first death of the series that gets, for me, the Final Destination.
Yeah.
Laughter and shock.
Yeah. It's like they use Todd's death as like a way to tell you like this is serious.
Yeah.
Death is actually coming for them. And then after that, they just allow themselves to have fun.
They're
with
like,
it.
okay, we got to start picking people off here, and like 5 different teens are gonna die in this, so we need to have some
And the
fun with
teacher,
this. And the
who is
teacher,
the next death in like probably the blueprint for the rest of the series, honestly.
yeah, like because it's so over the top, and there's so many
So
different
silly.
ways that she could get it.
Yeah. And it's just like it's the vodka going into the computer, and it's short circuiting and blowing up and blowing glass into her neck, and then it starts on fire, and the trail of vodka that was leaking out of her cup like sets her house on fire.
Sets the house on fire. Yeah.
She's got trying to grab the towel to stop the bleeding that she hung over the knife rack, and all the knives fall down and one goes straight into her chest. And then, like, the fire causes the microwave to explode.
Like, that's how she dies.
And the chair, like, goes down and hits the knife even further in. And then Devon Sawa, for some reason, comes in at that point, sees her, pulls the knife out.
Realizes it.
Drops it, runs out of the house. And meanwhile, you've got Sean William Scott riding by on his bike as Alex comes running out of this house, and the whole thing just explodes.
As he, like, jumps away from it, like, action movie style.
Yeah. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I miss when horror movies had big practical explosions. They don't do that anymore, and it bums me out.
This series has
multiple practical explosions,
Yeah, even when we get to the CGI green screen fest, there are still plenty of practical explosions in these.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one, this is definitely the template that all right, now we're having fun with these.
Yeah.
And we can have fun with the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because then you get, basically Carter starts to believe everything. He's like, okay, well, if that's the case and death is coming for us in the way that we get killed off in your premonition on the airplane by our seating chart, let's see what happens if we all die. And so they all get in the car together, and he's ready to put all of their lives on the line.
Also, the car, the music, when they get into the car to go pick up, because it's like him and Clear go to pick up Alex, right?
Yeah.
And on the way to Alex's, whatever music is going on with the score is so weird. It's the only time in the whole movie where I'm like, what is this music? I don't know if you noticed it, but it was just like one of those weird things where it took me out of it for a second. I have in my notes the car scene. What the fuck is this music? And why is Carter such a fucking dick?
Yeah.
You know? Like
Carter, dick.
Carter, you dick. He is. He needs anger management issues, man. Like,
but this is a defining moment in this guy's life, though. This is where it turns around for him.
Yeah.
Because he realizes, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And he ends up parking his car on some train tracks, and they're waiting for the train to come. Everybody else bails.
Yep.
And he's like, oh shit, I actually don't want to die. And so he tries to get out. Seatbelt is broke. Finally, Alex jumps in, saves Carter, and they break the chain of death. Only for it to go to the next person. Yeah. Right away.
Because, the train hits the car. They're all yelling at each other, and Sean William Scott's all bent out of shape, and he's telling them he's leaving, and you see a scrap metal under the car, or under the train, just like rattling, and you know what's coming. Anytime a character in a Final Destination movie is yelling about how this isn't them, like they're going, you know they're like
they're
going.
Next. Yeah,
they're next, and it doesn't just like decapitate him, like it cuts him off like right above the chin, and it is a gnarly effect, and it's kind of like it's funny. But I like that character so much that it's also kind of like, it's no.
It's probably the first character where you're like, oh no, not him.
Yeah, exactly. But it's such a good, and then like one of the little things about this scene is like, you see Kerr Smith has wet his pants, but no one mentions it. It's just a thing that's in this movie where like Carter has pissed himself.
See, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's there, yeah. And no one makes reference to it, but it's yeah, kind of nuts.
Then we get a bit of a time jump,
Yep.
which is maybe the most clunky part of this movie. Definitely
Yeah,
probably where the reshoots came in for sure.
started.
Yeah.
This franchise as a whole has an issue with the third act. Like, I don't know if any of the third acts quite live up to what came before them. And I'm even including Bloodlines in that, even though I think it probably sticks the landing the best of the franchise.
Yeah, because the third acts are always main character gets away. Final scene, though, is no, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Except for two, which weirdly just blows up a kid, but that's probably the best cut to black in the whole series.
Yeah. But Alex ends up going to like this remote cabin.
It's like Clear's dad's cabin or
Yeah.
something that he never uses. And it's supposed to mean like he's safe from death in there, and he's got like oven mitts and he's eating like canned tuna. And I'm like, buddy, you could
He's
definitely.
eating cat food.
Oh, he's eating cat food? Buddy, you could definitely die from cat food. I'm like, also the
Yeah, he's
cans
going
have
full.
sharp edges,
He's going
like-
full Frank Reynolds and Charlie Kelly, just eating cat food before bed.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's but it kind of comes back in Bloodlines too. It's this trope where like people think that going to a remote cabin that's kind of run down and almost falling apart is death proof somehow.
Yeah, the only character that really has probably the best option to avoid death is Clear in the second movie.
Yes,
where
exactly.
she's in a padded room and people just bring her food with no utensils at all.
But it's boring cinematically and it makes no sense. So I get why we do the rundown cabin thing.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
But basically he finds out, oh, he's not next, Clear is next.
Mm-hmm. And so he goes, and it's like right as the cops, like the FBI shows up at the cabin.
At his cabin and chases him in his
canoes
little
away.
canoe.
Canoes away. And the tree drowns him, or tries to drown him. I always forget about the fucking tree, man.
Yeah.
Like when that tree falls on him and like there's an extended sequence of Devon Sawa just putting his face in a mud puddle and going
And then just getting up.
then just getting up. Like it's so funny because it's like implying that the tree's like pushing his face down into the it's so cheesy. I'm like at that point, like I'm howling with laughter going, people call this the serious one?
That's like this series has a very similar vibe to the Child's Play series of like when people call the first Child's Play the serious one.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
It's maybe the scariest and the most tonally in the like moody horror kind of area, but it's also having a lot of fun while doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
But Alex ends up saving Clear at her house from like this giant storm that's going to electrocute her and impale her with like metal rods.
Yeah, and the pool breaks and the dog. I'm so glad that the dog lives. I totally always forget whether the dog lives, so that sequence
The series does a good job making sure the animals live in these.
Yeah, except for the bird that gets the nail gun in 3. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's right. Where
From Emo Leto.
from Glenn Howerton and Jared Leto.
Timu Jared Leto.
Jared Leto and Glenn Howerton's love child shoots
no
the bird.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a dick. I'm like,
Yeah.
God, I'm extremely happy when he dies.
Yeah, he saves Clear in the end, and basically they believe they broke Death's chain. We cut to a year later where Alex, Clear, and Carter, who are all still alive, they end up making that trip to Paris together.
Great sequence.
And they don't make it out of Paris. At least
They don't make it.
At least
Well,
one of them doesn't.
Carter doesn't. That's another. I'm gonna say
An
it
issue
again.
with 2?
It's another issue I have with 2 is
You
like
kill off the main character off screen.
yeah
Yeah.
by a falling brick. Go fuck yourselves. Like Yeah, no, the final shot's a banger of this one though. Like Carter having saved
Yeah, they
Alex's
realize.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah. And he just like and obviously that means Death's thing is reset. And so Carter goes, "Well, who's next?" as the sign that he just saved Alex from comes swinging back around.
cut to
and it
black.
and it cuts the black right before the impact. It's fantastic. It's this series has a really good track record of those cut to black endings.
Yeah.
Like I think 4 is the weakest. Every other one is kind of just perfection. Like they really know how to nail the final shots of these movies.
Well,
Anyways,
Sam, let's get to our final thoughts on Final Destination. I can go first here. This is one of the most iconic millennial horror movies of all time. Starts the one of the most iconic millennial horror franchises of all time.
yeah.
I know some people have a big reverence for the Saw series, which again was really like those two series were playing out at the same time.
Oh yeah.
For me, like this is my series. Like if I was gonna pick one of those two to latch onto, I have more fun with the Final Destination movies, and this is the one that started it off. Like you said, it's the best cast of the series. I don't necessarily know if it's like the best characters. I do think Bloodlines has the best characters, but
Yeah.
best cast overall is this movie. That iconic opening, again, tone setter for the rest of the series for the opening inciting incident, and then also setting up each of the deaths and how they're going to pay out. Yeah, this movie's awesome. Still holds up 25 years later. I'm
Yeah.
giving Final Destination 4 out of 5 exploding airplanes.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much everything you said. I definitely growing up like at sleepovers and things like that, Saw was definitely the franchise that my friends and I watched more of, but once I found these movies, I was like, "Oh, this has always been more my thing than Saw." Um, Even though both hold a very special place in my heart as seminal horror from when we were growing up. But this one on this watch just really worked for me. A lot, even more than it had previously. And maybe it was because I was like really engaging with it and trying to make sure that I was like finding things to talk about. But there's so much to dissect here, and there's like it's not deep or like meaningful or anything. Like
No.
there's a lot of like there's a lot of people that were that like make fun of this movie for thinking it's smarter than it is. And I don't know if it thinks it's smarter than it is. I think it's perfectly happy being kind of just a fun teen flick. Um, and yeah, it's got
With
a
a
little bit.
moody vibe. I think that
Yeah,
people are mistaking the moody, like teen angst vibe with like this is trying to say something. No, all
yeah,
all of these movies have the exact same like statement piece. Death gets you no
yeah,
matter what. That's
yeah.
it. That's all that these movies are trying to say, if that.
And the only one that lends any kind of poignancy to that is, I'd argue, the new one. And that's and it's still not like beating you over the head with that. Like it's
No.
still very much like we're gonna have fun dismembering bodies kind of movie. Um, yeah, I really like this one. I'm with you. I give this one 4 out of 5 exploding planes. It's seminal, man. It's one of the defining horror movies of this era, and honestly, this is like for a side, this is one of the strongest franchises moving forward. Like this is one of the most solid horror franchises out there.
Yeah.
So,
Last piece of trivia I have is what this movie's title is in China. Incredible title. I wish another movie would take it. The Death God Comes.
ooh, I
What a
like that.
great title. Final
Yeah,
Destination is also a great title, but The
yeah,
Death God Comes, what an incredible title that some other movie needs to take.
that's funny. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that the Chinese title for Final Destination 3 translates to Final Death Coaster 3. I'm like, I mean, a little clunky, but like Death Coaster's a pretty cool
Death Coaster's a
like,
cool thing. Yeah. Asylum probably should have made a ripoff of Final Destination 3 and just called it Death Coaster.
yeah, probably. So,
all right, well, that is Final Destination from 2000. Let's jump to our first ad read of the show. We have joined the Full Moon Army, and we want you to take advantage of our exclusive offer for listeners of Screams from the Basement. Full Moon Features, best known for their Video Isle classic franchises, Puppet Master Subspecies, and the Evil Bong series, is offering 10% off every order on fullmoonhorror.com when you use our discount code SCREAMS at checkout. That's fullmoonhorror.com. Discount code SCREAMS. This goes towards all in-stock items, including Blu-rays, DVDs, replicas, action figures, and so much more. Again, visit fullmoonhorror.com and use promo code SCREAMS at checkout to save 10%. Thanks to our friends at Full Moon. All right, Sam, let's jump into it. We're jumping ahead 11 years. 11 years. 3 movies in between this. We're moving on to Final Destination 5. The series had a pretty good track record of coming out pretty much every 2 to 3 years from that original movie.
Yep.
Which Final Destination 2 is...
That's 03.
03, and then we go to 06.
06 for 3.
09, and then 2011.
Yeah.
So yeah, every 2 to 3 years we get a brand new... For some reason, I thought there was a bigger gap between 4 and 5.
There probably should have been, because this one was not treated kindly at the box office. And I think it's because most people, like, I used to get these two confused. Like, there was a point in time where I thought there were only 4 Final Destination movies.
I also always thought this one was called The Final Destination.
See, I did too. And it's weird that the 4th one's called that, and it was supposed to be like a conclusion. I don't know how anybody looks at that movie and calls it the conclusion of a franchise. It is literally the bargain bin, like bottom of the Walmart discount DVD type of bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know how it got a theatrical release. Like
it was written during the writer's strike, which we should bring up.
Tell.
Like, you can definitely tell that was written during the writer's strike and, that. So, go ahead.
There's a scene where a girl gets her leg crushed by an escalator part. And even though it's barely gone above her knee, she starts coughing up blood. I'm like, what are you doing? What, like...
Two of the characters' names are Racist and Racist Wife.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty
Most
sure
of the characters in that movie don't have names. They are just...
And I couldn't tell you the names of any of the 4 that are supposed to have them.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's not a good
real
movie.
Bad.
Not a good movie.
So, I do
have fun with the opening premonition in that movie, though. I will say I like the opening premonition. I think it's... In terms of what happens, is a fun thing. The characters it's happening to, no. Not fun.
Can I bring up a weird... Like, then we'll move on to Final Destination 5.
Okay.
But I feel like you do kind of have to bring up 4. Anyways, I'm going to go on a weird tangent. As a kid who was in a NASCAR family.
Yeah.
Like, my family watched NASCAR every Sunday. Like, that was a thing that we did. It bugs the shit out of me when people are like, it's the NASCAR one. Because that is not a NASCAR race. In fact... It's trying to make it seem like a NASCAR race, but that track shouldn't even be paved. That should be a dirt road track. And, like, because the level of those stands, the size of the stands, and, like, what they are, I'm like, no, there's no chance in hell that track is paved. It is a dirt track. Like, the cars would not be getting up to that speed. The opening to 4 weirdly drives me nuts. I fucking hate it because it reminds me of someone who like conflates the big time like multi-million-dollar NASCAR races to like dirt track races, and I'm like, look, same fan base, very different things.
I can appreciate that as as someone else who also grew up in a racing family who had family that legitimately raced.
I had friends in high school that did stock, that did hobby stock.
Yeah, and the stands in this movie are straight up dirt track, backwoods Iowa.
Yep.
Stands, okay? Just so we're clear. Yes, that track should not be paved, and they should not have like an entire pit team.
So stop calling it the fucking NASCAR,
it's not the NASCAR
one, people.
You can call it the racing one. That's fine. But yeah. Also, if it was sprint cars instead, I would have liked that one even more. Because sprint car racing is actually pretty fun. Not gonna lie, I'm not a racing person at all. Also, sprint cars can do those flips that these cars did to fuck up the audience.
Yeah, hobby stocks
I've seen that before, and it's insane. That should be in a Final Destination movie. Anyway. Moving on to 5.
It tanked at the box office probably because the bad taste of 4, but
a fresh new team on this one though. Fresh new team on Final Destination 5. So James Wong, Glenn Morgan, they both worked on 1 and 3. And who is the director of 2 and 4?
David R. Ellis.
David R. Ellis did 2 and 4. This is a brand new team involved here. Final Destination 5, directed by Stephen Quayle, who did a few years later Into the Storm, the disaster movie.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Eric Heiser, who wrote Arrival and Bird Box. So some pretty big titles under his name as well. He also wrote the Thing prequel as well. That came out, I believe, that same year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a decent movie that was ruined by terrible CGI effects.
Hey, speaking of terrible CGI effects, Final Destination 5. Sam, an employee of a nondescript paper company and an aspiring chef. Don't know how those two relate, but it does for him.
It's so funny. Like, he's still working at like a Michelin-starred restaurant while doing his day. I'm like, no, if you were cooking at that restaurant, that would be paying your bills.
That would be paying your bills, and you would not have time to go work at Dunder Mifflin too.
Right?
Well, he cheats death by witnessing the collapse of a gigantic bridge while on a work trip, because he needed to go on a work trip for his paper company.
Yep.
And this leads to death coming after each and every one of his coworkers and friends. Yeah, so Sam is like... He's a guy that's down on his luck right away. His girlfriend's about to dump him.
His best friend looks exactly like him, but with thicker eyebrows.
Yep.
That's the only way I can differentiate the two of them.
Yeah, his best friend, who also works at this paper company, is like, you suck at this job. Like, if you weren't my friend, I would have fired you. I don't know why he doesn't. He obviously has another job.
Yeah, it's so
working as a chef at a very high-end restaurant.
Yeah.
Is about to go on a, like, excursion to Paris for his, like...
For, like, a job interview type of thing.
For, like, a job... It's an apprenticeship in Paris,
Yeah. Emma Bell of Death Proof fame. The stunt actress. Right?
No.
Is his girlfriend Emma Bell? No. Oh, my God. Thinking a different person. She's from Frozen. Adam Green's.
Disney movie.
No.
It's Zoe Bell, right?
Yeah, Zoe Bell is the...
Who I do think does stunts on this movie, though.
Oh, really?
I think so. She does in one of the movies. I know I saw her name somewhere in one of these movies.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was 2, because 2 feels like a very stunt-heavy movie.
I don't remember, but I guarantee I saw her name somewhere in the credits of these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
Emma
a very
Bell
weird...
from Frozen,
It's a very weird setup for this movie.
Yeah.
Because
it's also they can be on the same bus together.
Yeah. It's also they can be on the same bus together and work at this paper company that has like a gigantic factory next to it.
That definitely doesn't make paper, but for some reason they're connected. So
the main character Sam is played by Nicholas DeCosto, who was Jan's like secretary in the office that she's sleeping with.
Oh my God, that's right.
And then you also do have Todd Packer himself, David Koechner, in this movie, where they both work at paper companies. Oddly enough, I like to believe this is some sort of division of Dunder Mifflin.
Right? David Koechner's so funny in this movie.
He is so funny. He's just playing a snitch.
Yeah, he's playing a snitch to the FBI. He's such a dick. He memorializes one of the people that survived the
IT guy who survived.
Yeah.
And then later on, they say that he dies, and he's like, wasn't he already dead?
Yeah, wasn't he already dead? So funny. He's such a fucking dick, and it's great. Yeah. The characters in this are instantly better than like 4. And I wrote that in my notes.
They're at least memorable. You know who they are.
Yeah, you know who they are. You've got thick eyebrows, you've got thin eyebrows, you've got thin eyebrows girlfriend, you've got David Koechner, you've got the pervy racist IT guy.
You get the gymnast.
The gymnast, oh my god, which is we'll get into that.
Again, they're not necessarily characters, they're all caricatures.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't feel like the 4th one really has even that.
No, the 4th one is literally just the closest you get is the guy who gets.
I guess you get racist and like mom. The mom in that movie also does not have a name. She's just called MILF in the credits. Wild.
Yeah, it's
not
ridiculous.
even referenced in the movie as that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Also, she has, getting back on my 4 bullshit again, she has 2 kids and a fucking husband that also cheated death. And we don't get deaths for them. Like, it's such a bad movie.
It breaks the rules.
So bad.
Yeah.
It's so not good. Okay, back to 5.
Back to 5. Speaking of terrible characters that, I know he gets his comeuppance, but the IT guy.
I hate him. I hate
him.
Not in the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, he has Logan Paul heat. We're gonna bring that up again in this episode. He has go away heat. I don't want him on my screen.
It's a blemish on this otherwise really good Final Destination movie.
Yeah.
He just doesn't like his whole spa scene where he is literally just being sexist and racist and literally just like sexually harassing a spa worker. Especially in light of like the last few years and what's gone on in current events, like, no, this does not play at all. It's not good. It wasn't good back then. Like, it's not good now. It's really bad.
He's racist and sexist to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And ageist.
Yeah.
But that old lady gets one over on him, which I like.
He has a line at the beginning where, like, it might be the first line he says in this, where he's like, bald is the new black. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, you creep?
It's really bad. It's really bad.
And also, like, again, miscast people where Sean William Scott plays, like, the nerd in the first movie. This is the guy that should be playing that character. And Sean, like, those two probably should have switched, and it probably would have worked better.
Yeah, it might have.
But yeah, that usually, like, the lines and characterization for this guy is written for, like, still a good-looking dude who's just super douchey. This guy's just a weirdo creep incel.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. You also have I just call her Velma, the one that loses her glasses and can't see.
Oh, yeah.
She's got a rocker
Velma,
boyfriend that never comes back into the play. Like, it's so weird. Like, they introduce her getting dropped off from this guy in a van with like a band name painted on the side. Like, it literally looks like a grunge mystery machine.
I forgot about her for a second. Not gonna lie.
She gets out and like he's like, "Oh babe, you forgot your glasses." And she's like, "Oh, I did." And she puts them on. Then they get onto the bridge and she loses her glasses. And she can't see a thing. I'm like, how did you accidentally leave your boyfriend's van without your glasses if you're that blind?
Yeah, not Megan Fox has a pretty fun scene later on, though.
Yeah. Oh, God. Her death is fantastic.
Yeah, but the opening of this, though, is, again, pretty insane. Opening on a bridge. Up until Bloodlines, it was the longest opening of the series.
Which makes sense. It definitely sets up a lot.
There's a lot of deaths that happen here. You get David Koechner gets covered in tar.
Yeah,
and like
boiled and tar.
burned and
Yeah.
boiled alive.
You get so many impalements. The gymnast falls on top of the boat, the mast of the boat, which is
Yep.
fantastic.
The
Oh,
glasses girl like survives her fall, and then a
and then
car
gets
comes crashing down and just destroys her.
yep.
Eyebrows guy gets a bunch of metal rods through his face.
Yep. And then our final boy gets like bisected by a giant piece of sheet metal.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, it's so good. This is like, I think it's The Heights and up until Bloodlines, because that is another movie that very much plays on vertigo and fear of heights. This was my favorite. This was my favorite of the franchise. On this rewatch. Before that, I would have said Highway. I don't know. There's something about this one that like wobbly CGI and all.
The wobbly CGI takes me out of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
like the deaths. I think there's a lot of fun ones, but the CGI is pretty rough versus the second one where it is like
It's like practical.
all practical.
Yeah.
Insane.
I do appreciate that. I just think I'm more like I think I'm more on edge for this one than I am the highway scene. Where like the highway scene I'm more like, whoa, what like I'm like kind of just reveling in like what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I'm not scared of going on highways after that. I could see why someone is afraid of like bridges, after.
Yeah, so like
after this one.
the bridge sequence for me was always just maybe not my favorite, but to me it's like the scariest one. And it might still be the scariest one, but I think Bloodlines kind of we should do a whole Bloodlines episode sometime, maybe for Patreon or something.
We'll talk about it plenty this year, Sam.
Yeah, we will. So I love this bridge sequence.
Probably the earliest Tony Todd appearance in the series here.
Yeah, because he shows up to the memorial, and he kind of gives him a warning. Like he warns him off. He says, death doesn't like being tricked or being one-upped. And then he just leaves. Like it's just like a one-line thing, and he leaves, and they're like, well, that was fucking weird.
And then like the first big death that we get after the premonition is Candace the gymnast. I think this might be my favorite of the series.
This is my favorite of the series.
Because it does such an incredible job of setting up. You have no idea where or how it's going to happen to her, which is the craziest thing. I think all the other ones pretty much set up everything that happens. This one sets up things that aren't paid off.
Yeah, like to her anyways. Yeah, like it sets up the dripping water going near the thing, but then she towels off and she drops the towel, and the towel blocks the water, so she's not going to get electrocuted. She goes on the balance beam and she's hopping around the screw that fell from the recently repaired air conditioning unit, but then
she doesn't step on it.
She doesn't step on it. She lands, and then she moves on to the next thing, and another girl gets on the bar, and the fan gets come in and plugged in because the AC wasn't working, so it was hot. And the other girl steps on the thing, falls off, hits the powder bowl. The powder bowl goes up right as she's getting ready to
spin off
of the high bar, and she just folds in half. It is part of it. I know that they enhanced it with CG, but the practical effect of that body folded over is so good. The vertebrae are coming out of her back all cracked and stuff. It is
gnarly.
I remember the first time I watched that scene, it was YouTube. It was not in the context of the full movie.
Yeah.
And I got to that, I was like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck did I just watch? It freaked me out. It was totally unexpected. To me, it is the best death in this entire series. And that's saying something, because there is one that I loved in Final Destination Bloodlines. But the gymnastics one still takes it.
Yeah, it's tops, yeah.
Also, her boyfriend's watching the whole time.
Yeah, he's watching the whole time. Cool. Also, he takes it a little too serious, it's practice, and he's like, come on, babe, you got this.
Yeah.
Bro, it's practice. Chill out.
He's got that kind of like.
Well, we see the character he becomes by
energy.
the end of it.
Yeah. He's not great.
He definitely invested in some Bitcoin 10 years later.
Yeah.
If he would have survived.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it like sets up like the air conditioner is gonna fall, or she's gonna like do something on the beam, or electrocute it. It sets up all these different ways, and finally, it's something that it doesn't even set up.
Yeah, it pays off in a way that you wouldn't have expected. Like I didn't expect her to just fold in half,
just fall and break her entire body in half.
When you see like her death in the premonition, it is kind of like that, where she gets broken in half by the freaking mast of the boat. You know, I know it goes through her, but like she snaps in that one too. So it's like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, the movie told you, but it didn't like make it obvious kind of thing. I love that.
The next one we get is the IT perv who goes to a spa.
Yeah.
Wants a happy ending.
I like this death. I wish the scene leading up, like he could have just gone to a spa. You know, they could have literally written it like, oh God, that really messed me up. I could use a massage, without any of the racism, the sexism, the icky vibes, and like, you know, had him recommend acupuncture or something, you know, and him not being sure and them talking him into it. Like, there's so much they could have done without the grossness.
Yeah.
You know? But it does pay off really nicely.
Yep. Yeah, he falls off the table after getting acupuncture. Ends up like all up in his face.
Yeah, all the needles are bent and like pushed way in.
Fire out of nowhere.
One of them out.
Fire out of nowhere. Like the room starts on fire.
Yep, and all the massage oil is like fell onto the floor because the bed, like the table he was on was like faulty, and so you know it broke. And
then he gets a giant Buddha that he rubbed the belly of.
Yeah, the jade
before
Buddha
he sat
falls
down
on him
and crushes his skull.
So good, so good.
I mean, this movie does a pretty good job of pacing out its deaths, like pretty much one after the other. Because right after this, then is the LASIK eye surgery one.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, this one is gnarly.
Yeah. It doesn't end the way like you would expect it to either, where they get in and she's finally gotten herself off of the table, but she's just all messed up in the face and the hand from like blocking this laser, which like there's no way that LASIK can get
all the medical
high.
Equipment in this series has like no safety measures in it at all. These are all like test machinery that they haven't put like any safety measures on yet.
If you accidentally hit the enter key, it just releases all safety requirements and
turns it into like a legit laser like you cut through walls with.
Yeah. And she just runs out the window and falls face first into a car. Like, oh, it's so like...
Again, foreshadowed in the premonition where a car falls on her. She falls on the car.
Yeah, it's nuts. So good.
One guy, this movie sets up, if you take a life, you get, however much time they have left.
Yeah. So that's something that Tony Todd says in his like second scene, right?
Yeah.
His second scene is so funny because he says something to him and he's literally like outside a van that says medical examiner, right? But you don't see the back of his jacket. He's just there, but he's clearly standing next to a van that says medical examiner. And they go, "Who are you?" And he just goes, "I'm just doing my job." And he turns around and he's got coroner written across the back and the camera pans in on it as if it's a reveal.
Something we didn't know from like 3 of the previous movies.
From 3 of the previous movies,
yeah.
Or the fact that he's outside a medical examiner. And then he just goes like, "What makes you think I know anything?" And they were like, "Well, we saw you at the memorial. You warned us about death." And he's like, "Oh yeah, And then he just proceeds to tell them whatever they need to know.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Basically that if you take a life, you get however much time they had left.
Yeah. Which does come back in a really glorious way in the third act.
So you get the Sam's best friend, who is basically like the factory foreman almost, who all the factory workers make fun of him because he has like a college degree and that's how he got that position.
Yep.
And there's one guy who's like,
he's just a dick.
He's just a dick, probably racist. He's not outright racist, but definitely has that vibe to him.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where they thankfully don't say the N-word like they do in the fourth movie.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he's definitely coded as like that guy.
And that's all you need, though. You don't need...
Exactly. Yeah. Like, you don't need it overt. Like, we've seen enough of it. Anyways, I love the scene where they're, like, arguing in the thing, and it feels like it still kind of plays it ambiguously, where it's like, I don't know if he necessarily meant to, like, straight up kill the guy as much as it was just kind of like, he ends up killing him by shoving him in the way of a falling hook that then just, like, goes up in his jaw and just, like...
comes out. Ugh.
Yeah, it comes out of the top of his skull. It's like, oh, it's so gnarly. And so,
then,
like,
then you get David Koechner, who's, like, completely oblivious to everything in this movie, and comes down there and he's like, the hell is going on down here? Like, not realizing someone just died in his factory.
Yeah. And a wrench that just got laid in a precarious place just gets launched right into his head. This would have been fun to watch in 3D in the theaters, honestly. Yeah. I love David Koechner's character as just like playing the informant for the FBI. I love that he wants code names when he's on the phone with them, and just like, he's such an unserious character in this, and his death just being like, his is kind of the bus death, where it's like, it sets it up more than the bus death, but it's just like a very sudden, like, oh shit, like it just happened, you know? Yeah. It's meant to shock.
It's you don't expect a death right after another death like that quickly in the same spot.
Yeah. So that was pretty great. And then you get this third act. Casey.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this third act? Because I know that there are people that are kind of on either side of this one.
Not a good third act. I think it's the weakest part. It's easily the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
I would say out of taking 4 out of the equation, it's probably the weakest third act in the series. Because they do the exact same thing in the third movie.
Yeah, they do.
Where you have a character who's like, okay, well, I'm going to take death into my own hands and I'm going to kill you guys, where it becomes an actual person doing the killing.
Yeah.
And I understand why they take that approach to the movies.
I like it in 3 a little bit better, though, because it still feels like it is death itself doing the killing. It's just that the kid knows that he is the omen. That, you know, whereas this one, it's just... Eyebrows just goes nuts and tries to kill.
Kind of out of nowhere, too. Like, I understand his girlfriend just died.
Yeah.
And he wants to now blame his best friend on it for some reason.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
He wants to kill the girlfriend because he's like, why does she deserve, or why do you deserve to live and she deserve to die?
Yeah. Well, I like Emma Bell's like line of, well, she didn't deserve to die, but neither do I. You know, like,
mm-hmm.
And I like that this movie takes a swing. I like that it does something a little different. I don't know if it's totally successful in this stretch of the movie anyways. I think part of it's the restaurant sequence. Like, it's okay, but I don't feel like they use... It just doesn't feel quite as, like... It doesn't feel like it comes together quite as well as I think they want it to with all the different restaurant things that have been introduced.
Yeah.
Like, it It's a
And it
little
doesn't feel
slow.
like an accident could happen, really. It just feels like
Like one of these things could
they're
be
causing these
used.
things to happen.
Yeah, exactly. It feels less like Death has control and more
Yeah.
like it's just a scuffle between characters. Which, again, appreciate the swing. Not sure if it's exactly what I want out of a Final Destination movie. But you know what is exactly what I want out of a Final Destination movie? The very last bit
That
of
ending.
this after the time jump. Yeah.
Yeah, so that third act is not very good. The Tom Cruise crazy looking motherfucker dies.
Yeah. I can't
Kills
even
the
remember
cop.
how he dies.
He gets the like giant rotisserie chicken
Oh,
spike
yeah, that's right. That's right. Because it
through him.
comes right at the screen. Yeah.
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 And then our two characters, they make it out alive, Sam and his girlfriend. They decide, hey, we're both going to go to Paris together while you're on your apprenticeship. Turns out it's a trip to Paris that happens in 2001, leaving from New York City. From 2000, leaving New York City. And it's Flight 180
Flight
from
180.
the first movie. What
Yep.
a fucking reveal.
Yep. And you watch, this time you do watch from inside the plane as like she is literally ripped away from him and they go up.
And he just burns.
And like watching this knowing the twist, it is so cool how like they don't bring attention to the time period, but it is very time period accurate. Like those cars are from like the millennium turn, you know, like they keep it.
It's all the stuff you don't realize that you've been watching throughout the entire movie. Like they're all using flip phones.
Yeah, and you don't think about it. Like it's never attention's never drawn to. I love that. Like the reveal that this is a stealth prequel is fantastic. So that part's devastating, right? Like I got a little I don't really care that much about these characters, but I got a little choked up because like they like had their happy ending and the movie does such a good job of portraying that only to like rip it out from them. And you know it's coming in some way, but I think just having it connect back to that first movie adds like an emotional like an extra wallop to it where it's like, "Oh my god," you know?
That's the difference between this ending and the rest of them, where us as an audience, we already know what's going to happen to these characters as soon as they get on that airplane.
Yeah.
We're like, oh no, like that's gonna happen to them. We know what happens to this airplane, and it's going to happen to them. There's nothing they can do about it.
Yep.
Because it's no longer their story.
Yeah, and that's terrifying. Like that is just like it's such a good ending. And then the tag at the end where you've got the warehouse foreman in the fucking bar drinking with his colleagues, like toasting to the deceased, and one of his coworkers reveals, yeah, craziest thing, they did an autopsy on him. Turned out he had an enlarged blood vessel in his brain. It's gonna burst any day. Said if that hook wouldn't have killed him, he would have dropped dead any time now. Jet engine comes right through, crushes Foreman. His severed hand flies at the screen. Cut to black. Fucking 5 out of 5 on that cut to black. No notes. Fantastic. Man, that ending is something else.
Yeah.
I
also there's like again, tying all of the stuff pretty much together. I'm trying to pick up where 2 and 3 have references in this movie. The 4th one has a reference here, where the guy that died is taking a picture in front of the race car that causes the explosion in the 4th one.
That's right.
I don't know what else is in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think there is references to all the other ones in it.
There is a log truck in this one, at some point, I think, in a driving scene.
Yes, in the drive-through sequence.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep. Oh, in the truck that's backing up into them. Right? That's this movie, or is that the 4th one?
No, that's 3 is the drive-through scene. Where they're trapped in the drive-through.
Oh, okay, yeah,
and they have to jump out. because that's
the
when
truck
Frankie
that's backing
Cheeks
up,
gets in.
the truck that's backing up is the same brand of truck that was in the crash where the guy's drinking and driving from the second movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, nice.
But yeah, all of these interconnect somehow, some way.
Yeah, yeah. And five just, I don't know. Five does a really nice job sticking the landing. Yeah, it's kind of, it's, until this past Saturday, it was my favorite sequel.
Yeah, same here. It is still right up there. It's my number 3 in the series now. But yeah, it was easily my favorite sequel of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like how it ties into the rest of it. I think tonally it's very similar to the first movie. Besides that third act, I think we're having a lot of fun with this movie. The third act doesn't go on for too long, so it doesn't like completely take you out of it.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's just a rough patch, but they get out of it pretty quick.
A couple pieces of trivia before we wrap it up on our talk on Final Destination 5. This, like I said, is the longest opening of the series until the 6th one. Though there was a planned water park sequence for this one, but was inevitably cut from it. I think that would be fun and something that they should definitely revisit in the series.
I feel like as terrified as I was of going up, not the slides themselves, but going up on those stairs all the way up to the water slides at like a water park, you could do something really cool with like an opening disaster at a water park.
At the water park, yeah.
Yeah.
Some famous names of characters in this movie: Friedkin, Hooper, Castle. So a lot of, again, all of these movies have some sort of reference to famous horror directors. And I think this movie does a great job. Like, I usually hate that in movies where it's like, yeah, don't name your people like Carpenter. Like,
yeah.
But for some reason it works in these movies.
Yeah. I think it's because it's not doing it in like an overly showy way, like what there are a lot of times where it's like, oh hey, blah blah blah, and it's like clearly just to show you that a character has a name. Whereas like I don't feel like they do that as much in these, where it just, I don't know.
It almost has that Scream
kind of
vibe
looking at you,
for me.
Michael Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like,
or just like any like low budget, no budget movie that does it is.
Yeah.
And then last piece of trivia: Ashley Tisdale. You know Ashley Tisdale from the High School Musical series. She auditioned for the role of the gymnast Candace.
Oh, interesting.
But would go on to play, or at the time she might have already been playing, Candace on Phineas and Ferb.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Sam, how many I don't know, what are we gonna give the fifth one? How many
gymnasts?
How many broken gymnasts are you giving this Final Destination 5?
Actually giving Final Destination 5 the same as I gave Final Destination 1, even though I think Final Destination is the superior movie. I think they're both pretty solid 4 out of 5 flicks. I enjoy this one. It has my favorite, it has for me the scariest opening of this franchise. It has the best death of this franchise. And honestly, like, there aren't many, restaurant finale aside, all the deaths are kind of bangers in this.
Yeah.
It's pretty great and solid all around. So I'd say like this one's a solid 4 out of 5. What about you?
I give this a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, this was, up until the latest movie, my favorite sequel of the series. I think it's so much fun. Has probably the best singular death in the entire series with the gymnast death. Has a great premonition scene. And that ending, though, I think it's still my favorite ending of this series.
Yeah, it's
out
really
of all
good.
of the movies. It is definitely my favorite of the series. So, ends on a high note. If they had finished the series with this movie, I would have been happy. But I'm so happy that we got another one.
I was about to say, I'm glad we got Bloodlines, though. Yeah.
So 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Hell yeah. All right. We've got another ad read for you. Fangoria Magazine. For over 40 years, Fangoria has been the leading source in horror for all things spooky, horrific, and macabre. The famed magazine is back with a vengeance each quarter with brand new issues of Fangoria magazine featuring interviews, retrospectives, and insight into the world of horror. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners to save 20% off their subscription to the magazine, the latest Fango merch, and so much more. You can visit shop.fangoria.com/screamsfromthebasement and use promo code screamsfromthebasement at checkout. Thanks to Fangoria for helping support the show. I didn't stick the landing. I was like Candace.
Yeah. You folded in half.
I folded in half. All right, Casey. We're into our final segment. And I know we've got quite a bit of crossover, just in the nature of what we've been watching.
Yeah.
But what have you been doing lately?
Yeah, so I'll start off with the stuff that is not crossover. I watched a movie called The Lost Footage of Leah Sullivan.
Okay.
Which is a found footage movie that was recommended through a TikTok video that Kayla found. We need to stop doing this because TikTok
start.
TikTok does not know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, dude.
Because the last time we watched one was Megan is Missing.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's not good. I'll leave it at that. The Lost Footage of Leah Sullivan. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this was...
Never even heard of this fucking movie.
Yeah, my Letterboxd review was a movie drier than the bread at Jimmy John's, and that's...
Ooh. As a Jimmy John's fan, I agree, and also ouch.
Hey, I don't hate Jimmy John's, but their bread, not good.
Yeah.
I watched the brand new film Clown in a Cornfield from the director of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, based on the novel from Adam Cesar. I have not read the novel. I would like to at some point. It's on my reading list. So Clown in a Cornfield definitely leans into that like teenage slasher vibe, which is the vibe of the book, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a teen horror. It's very gory, but it's written for teens. Yeah.
Yep. This one has that exact same vibe. I liked it. I don't know if I liked it. It's like a mid movie for me. Of like, I wish this was better. I think there's a lot of good things going on here. Has so much teenage melodrama though. That really takes me out of the movie. I love the stuff with Friendo the Clown throughout the entire movie. I think it's good stuff. I think Kevin Durand is a ton of fun.
I'm excited to see him in this, yeah.
Yeah, he's a ton of fun. I think they misuse Will Sasso, who plays like the sheriff of the town.
I've heard that, and that kind of bums me out because I love him as a comedic actor, but I was really looking forward to seeing him in, because like the character he plays in the book is not like funny at all.
No,
like he is like an intense presence.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I think it's worth a watch when it ends up on Shudder later this year, which I believe is coming on Shudder in August.
Yeah, I did kind of want to see this in theaters. I think it's already come out of theaters around us.
It is always cool to see the Shudder logo in the theater, though. I will say that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I liked the book. I didn't love the book, but I'm also, I don't know. I'm a slut for like corn slashers, so we're gonna go with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Your mileage might vary on it. I
love the Children of the Corn movies, even the like really shitty ones. So
I gave this 2.5 out of 5. If I watch it again, I might bump it up to 3. Like, it's about where I'm at with the movie.
That's fair. Better or worse than Dark Harvest, the movie?
Better.
Better?
Yeah. Better kills, for sure.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
Next up, watched a brand new movie called Solitude, which is available on VOD right now. Sam, you watched this as well because we talked to both of the directors, Jeremy Brown and Mick Strawn, about this movie. It is a survival horror film based on the television show Alone, which is a very popular reality survival show. Yeah, go check out our interview next Friday. I'm just going to leave it at that because we talk for a good half hour with
We got
Jeremy and
into it.
and Mick.
They were awesome guests. Mick is a wild man.
Mick's a wild man. You'll know him from his work on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4.
Yeah. Yep. It was pretty great actually. Like that interview. One of the directors, Jeremy, got on before Mick, and Jeremy told us exactly how Mick would log on, and down to a T, Mick's entrance onto the podcast, which unfortunately we were not recording at that time because it was a genuinely funny moment, was exactly what Jeremy said it would be. It was a banger of a conversation,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to like release it to the public.
Yep. Yeah, good conversation coming out next Friday.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, watch the rest of the Final Destination series. I'm not going to say too much on these, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at second one. I love that opening sequence. It's my favorite premonition of the series. They do clear dirty in that movie. But also the deaths are really fun throughout the entire movie. I think they're a ton of fun. Especially the one where the guy gets the barbed wire fence through him. I love that one. It's incredible.
The one in that sequence that I like more is the airbag that pushes the head back. Just because it's so out of nowhere. It just like you
and
don't
then the blood
expect
just
it
starts
at all.
dripping out of it.
Yeah, like it's terrifying. Like I would hate to be that EMT. Like that just ruined his day.
Yeah. Third one, ton of fun. Again, probably
campy.
My favorite cast besides one in Bloodlines, probably.
Yeah.
I think it's probably my third favorite cast of the series. Scream King, Ryan Merriman. I think we need to call him Scream King. We need to get that out there. Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Trying to think of her boyfriend that gets killed on the roller coaster is the lead yuppie in Tucker and Dale versus Evil, the one that goes crazy.
With the collar, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is
the one that takes a hit of a joint and then a puff of his inhaler.
Yeah,
that's the kid.
Oh my God, that is him.
Demolished on the roller coaster. I forget what his name is. It is
good
Jesse
stuff.
Moss. Yeah, Jesse Moss.
Good stuff.
He's also in Ginger Snaps, which we will cover on this show sometime.
We have to.
Yeah.
That one's a ton of fun. And then the fourth one, let's just not talk about.
Yep.
We talked
enough.
Fourth one
is ass.
About that one. But that is it for me for my to-be doing. What's that?
And then we watched Bloodlines.
And then, Bloodlines. I guess we got to talk about that a little.
Yeah, we got to talk a little bit about Bloodlines. God, it sucked. It was no, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's my second favorite of the series. You could argue favorite of the series. I don't know. It's really good. Opening premonition is a big swing.
Yeah. And the way they
and pays off.
Come out of it into the rest of the movie is different than anything we've seen in the final. Like this one did for me what I feel like I was expecting Scream 5 to do, which is it has a reverence for what came before. Like it is a very it's clearly made by people who love this franchise.
Yes.
But it is subverting so many of those expectations. There are scenes from the marketing that do not play out the way you expect them to. And I genuinely found myself surprised multiple times in this movie. If that gymnastics death didn't exist, there is a set piece in a hospital, and that's all I'll say about it. That would have been my favorite of the whole damn franchise. It's so good. It had our whole theater in fucking stitches.
Yeah, let's just say an MRI machine was made by the same people who made the LASIK eye surgery machine in the fifth one.
It's fantastic. So yeah, Bloodlines, if you can see this movie
also,
on the big screen with a crowd, do it.
Perfect send-off for Tony Todd. It's been out there in the news, but he has a monologue in the movie that he wrote himself and got to deliver for the fans. Wonderful send-off.
Genuinely teared up during his scene in that movie. But it doesn't get bogged down in that. I'd say this is the most thematically poignant of the series. It kind of touches on what happens if you fixate too much on avoiding death and just kind of lose the rest of your life anyways. but it never gets heavy-handed in that stuff. It's still very much like a fun popcorn Final Destination movie with a fucking wicked dark sense of humor. Kids get fucked up in this one.
One of them rightfully so.
Yes. And it's fantastic. I really enjoyed Bloodlines. So
It ties the series together just as well as the fifth one does.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know people have been talking about, well, now we got to take some time away from these movies. Nope.
Well, and then the nice thing about
death doesn't take its time away from
death is
life.
always there.
It's always there. Let's do this again in 2 years. Give us another one.
Yep. The final, like, what I loved about this too is like this is a self-contained story. Like, it has nods to other stuff in the franchise, but like we don't necessarily need to like revisit this particular area or this group or this family or anything like that. Like, we can move on to a different story entirely. And I think the movie both contains itself in a way that's really like satisfying, but also the way this movie plays out, there are so many things that we could go back. Like, let's do a bunch of period pieces where it's like, like the opening being set in the 60s was so fun. Like, let's do a whole Final Destination from the 70s. You know, like let's do stuff like that, because it'd be so cool.
Let's do a Western Final Destination.
Fuck, yes, we should do an Old West Final Destination. Like, just get wild with it now. I feel like the floodgates are open. Like, the rules are there, but they're able to be bent in a way that allows for like different things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And centering
Final
it around
Destination
a family was
space.
Awesome. Yes, 100%. Like, you literally could. This is the franchise that you literally could. You know, you can do anything with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Bloodlines fucking rules.
Spoilers.
Check it
it's
out.
Going to make both of our top 10s of
100%
of 2025. All right, Sam, what about you? What else have you been doing?
Okay, so I just added this to my notes because I don't even think I logged this on Letterboxd. I did watch the City of the Dead, the Christopher Lee Joe Bob one.
Yeah.
So good. Like, loved that movie. We were about 20 minutes in, and Maria goes, "I'm pretty sure I've actually watched this." She had watched it one afternoon that was just playing on Shudder TV. But she's like, "Oh yeah, you'll love this. This is great." And so we watched Joe Bob's presentation of it. So good. Like, it's so funny that it came out after Psycho, but it was like made before Psycho, because it is weirdly like Psycho but with witchcraft.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I liked it a lot. I rewatched Alligator because we lost Dear Sweet Morris this week.
R.I.P. Morris.
R.I.P. Morris. He's fantastic in this movie. He's the gator.
Yeah, we should probably set up who Morris is.
Morris is a gator actor who was in this. He was in Happy Gilmore, among plenty of other things. He apparently was forced into retirement after tearing up the set of 90s sitcom Coach.
Oh.
That is something that Mike Timmerman shared with me.
He lived a long time after his retirement then.
Yeah, he was 80. I mean, he was just living his best life in retirement. So yeah, rest in peace, Morris.
Now he's just hanging out with
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers and Abe Lincoln, so.
So yeah, Alligator rules. I believe I've probably talked about it on this show because
I've never seen this movie.
You've never seen Alligator?
No.
This would be a fun.
This was somehow one when I went on Attack of the Killer podcast that they didn't pick for the Alligator episode. That's
because dudes, I love you, but you never pick the obvious movies. Like, never. Every time you're like, "Oh, we're doing this topic." If Attack of the Killer podcast is doing a certain topic, just know that they will not pick the most obvious one.
I appreciate that, though.
I do appreciate it. It's great. I want to know, like, maybe we should just invite those guys onto our Alligator episode, and then I can know what they think about it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, Alligator fucking rules, and we will do an episode on this one eventually, because it'd be a good summer episode. And I watched this like probably 8 different times over the summer, so anytime you want to do it, I'm probably prepped.
Do an alligator and crawl double feature or something like that.
God, yes. I love Crawl. Crawl is so good. Um, I also watched this movie from 1999 I hadn't even heard of called Virus. It is a total at sea alien ripoff,
Say
which
Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
yep, Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Sutherland, Cliff Curtis, like who's who of character actors. It is a stacked cast. Um, it's very much in that vein of 90s movies where they were giving like those like cheesy B movie premises lots of money to do stuff. And like this virus is a computer virus, but it needs human flesh. And so it like takes over this Russian vessel and these salvagers come across this vessel and Donald Sutherland's like the crazy captain who's like this is going to get us a whole bunch of money, and so they board this like supposedly abandoned thing. This it's very much like the Thing, Alien, just like at sea, and they find this virus has been using the like rotting body parts of the old crew to like build itself like cyborg bodies. It's so gnarly. I loved this movie. It's not it's a good bad movie. Like if you're looking for fantastic performances and writing and like it's not that, but like it is so much fun. uh I just Maria happened to throw it on Pluto TV, and it's on there live, but it's not on demand, and we got in like 20 minutes in and we were watching it and I'm like, this is good, I want to start it over. And when we couldn't start it over, I went like later that day we literally went to Last Stop and I picked it up on DVD and we watched it, and it's so good. I had a blast with it. So if you're like me and you haven't heard of that movie, or if you have and you just haven't seen it because the reviews turned you off, so much better than the critical savaging that it got. I really liked it. So that's Virus from 1999. And then I watched Drop, the new one, the Christopher Landon directed one. I wanted to love it. I liked it. It's pretty much exactly what I expected, which is to say it's a single location thriller that stretches a lot of credibility and kind of falls apart in the third act a little bit.
Yeah, I don't feel anyone's talking about this movie.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's a very run of the mill, like it's written by the same team that wrote Fantasy Island and Truth or Dare, like the Blumhouse movies.
Is this a Blumhouse movie?
This is a Blumhouse, yeah. It's actually Platinum Dunes and Blumhouse co-producing. The thing is, though, Landon directs the fuck out of this movie. Like, it's some serious, like, he's using stage lighting in certain things, like where he's putting spotlights on potential suspects and stuff. Like, some of the camera angles are great. He's going like low and like Dutch angles and stuff. Like, he is putting everything into what he's doing behind the camera. Megan Fahey as the lead is really good, even though like her date is written as like a miracle guy. Like, there is no real world in which this guy would not have walked out 10 minutes into this date. It stretches that credibility so thin. But it's also a lot of fun. There are some good side characters. The waiter as the comic relief character is like, he's an improver. He's like trying to sell him on like his different improv characters and stuff. So like there's a lot of fun to be had, but it is pretty run of the mill. Like, it's not anything spectacular except in the way that it is staged and framed. I love a good it has a good like we talked about the Final Destination opening credits. This has a great opening credits sequence where it's just like different things from the restaurant kind of kaleidoscoping over the credits to like a bangin' Bear McCreary score. The score of this movie's fantastic. So, like, there's a lot to like. Just don't go into it expecting to break the mold. Like, it's very much his ode to Red Eye, and it doesn't really stray too far from that formula. So, but I'd still recommend Drop to people who kind of like those kinds of thrillers. So, that's what I've been doing.
Well, know what else we've been doing this episode. So, Thank you all for listening. Let's get to some plugs for the show. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Screens in the Basement. You can help support the show by joining us over there for either our $1 or $5 tier. Our $1 tier gets you a special art print designed by our very own Sam Lenz. And then you also get our monthly newsletter. For $5 a month, you get our monthly newsletter. That art print, you get a monthly bonus episode, which we'll be recording very soon.
Yeah,
Sam,
it's a fun idea.
Should we let the people know what that is?
Yeah, we should. So this was inspired by an argument I started in a Discord chat where I said pop stars and horror don't go together. And I was promptly told by like 3 different people that I was wrong. I stand by it, but we're doing a whole episode about pop stars.
We're going to
pairing them with directors.
Right? Yeah, we're going to be pitching pop stars to work with certain directors because of the news of Charlie XCX working with
Takashi Miike. Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm
that'll
not
be
excited about.
That'll
be
be
a fun. What
fun.
Prompted this whole thing.
Yeah. And then you also get our written review. Sam will be doing a full review for Final Destination Bloodlines and a ranking of the entire series. And then I have a couple vlogs up right now, including the last stop 30% off 30-year anniversary sale that I picked up a few things from. So check us out on Patreon. Also, you can check us out on tpublic.com. Pick up some exclusive Screams from the Basement merch. You can pick up the shirt that Sam has on right now, our Screams by Night Halfway to Halloween Con t-shirt. The Toxic Avenger inspired artwork on that. We also have some new designs up on the store right now with some classic horror films, including Night of the Living Dead, House on Haunted Hill, and Plan 9 from Outer Space. So check out all of that stuff on TeePublic right now. Just click the link in the episode description.
Yeah, and if you like this episode and you want more, you can subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, give us a comment, give us a like. Like we love talking horror. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. It just helps us get noticed by more horror people to join in the conversations. Like, should pop stars be in horror movies? Absolutely not. Join our Discord too. Link down in the description. You can also follow us on all socials and communicate with us there on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Just search Screams from the Basement on all of those, and we are there. We're posting. Let us know what you think about our episodes. Let us know what you think about our opinions. Tell us why we're wrong. I live off of that. I feed on it. So tell me I'm wrong. I love it.
Yeah, tell Sam he's wrong about pop stars being in horror movies. We're going to eventually win him over with that. But Sam, this has been our episode on Final Destination 1 and 5. We are back next week with our interview with Jeremy Brown and Mick Strawn, talking about Solitude, and then we will announce our entire June lineup very, very soon next week. But Sam, until next time, remember, life is precious. Enjoy every second. You never know when.
Good luck.
And sweet screams.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.